Hello everyone, Denise here. Today we are going to make the Shaker Shawl. This is a very simple pattern and anyone can do it, even a beginner. So let's get started and I'll tell you the materials we will need. With this pattern you can use any yarn and hook you desire. You will need some scissors, a tape measure, and something to weave in your ends. I am going to use a 5.5 or an eye hook and some worsted weight yarn that is a Caron 1 pound. Now we start with multiples of 6 and we need the tape measure to measure where we want our shawl. So we are measuring from the back of your neck down your back, and however long you want your shawl to be, that is what you're measuring. So our pattern is in multiples of 6. So we will continue making multiples of 6 until we get the length we desire. Then we're going to go ahead and we're going to chain 4 and start the pattern. So let's get started. So we are going to start with a slip knot. And we want to keep in mind how wide we want our shawl, and we can measure once we think we're about there. So we're going to start with multiples of 6. Just go ahead and count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I want mine longer, so I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so this is going to take a while. So I'm going to go ahead and do my multiples of 6. And then when I get to the end of my chain, I will let you know how many I did. So I am chaining 78, and then the 4 stitches at the end make it 82 total. So now we're going to begin our pattern. Now we chained 4 at the end, so the first thing we're going to do is double crochet in the 4th chain from the hook. So count down from your hook 4 and then do double crochet in that stitch. And then we're going to do a double crochet in the next 2 stitches. So 1 and 2. Now we're going to chain 3. And we're going to skip the next 3 chains. And then we are going to do a double crochet in the next 3 chains of our foundation row. So let's look at our work here. We started with a chain 4, we did 2 double crochets, and then we chained 3, and we did 3 double crochets. This is going to be our pattern repeating across this entire row. We are going to chain 3, we're going to skip 3 chains at the bottom, and then we're going to do 3 double crochets in the next 3 chains. So skip those 3 and then do 1 double crochet, 2 double crochets, and 3 double crochets. And we're going to repeat that all the way to the end of our work. And I will meet up with you at the end of row 1. We are at the end of our row 1 here. We need to finish off this row. So as you can see here, we need to put 1 double crochet in the last chain space. And that finishes row 1. So pretty much we have a whole bunch of double crochets in between spaces. Now we're going to move on to row 2 and fill up those spaces. So for row 2 and every row after, we are going to chain 3, and then we are going to turn our work. We will always start each and every row with a chain 3 from here on out. And then in every one of these chain 3 spaces, we are going to put 3 double crochets in that chain 3 space. So every time you see a chain 3 space, you will put 3 double crochets in there. And then we are going to chain 3, and we are going to continue this all the way across our shawl. We are going to put 3 double crochets in every chain 3 space. When we get to the end, we are going to put a double crochet at the end of our row, and then we are going to chain 3, and we are going to start all over again. We're going to do 3 double crochets in every chain 3 space, and then we are going to chain 3 and do it over and over and over until we get the length of the shawl that we desire. So this is what our work's going to be looking like. We'll meet back up with you in just a little bit. Okay, so we are at the end of our row 2 here. You can see that we need to do one more chain 3, and then every single time you finish a row, you will put a double crochet in the top of your first chain 3. So we are just going to finish every row that way. I'm going to put a double crochet in the top of that beginning chain 3. So we are going to finish our shawl by doing this pattern. We are going to repeat row 2 for the rest of our shawl. And we will border our shawl with all of these chain 3s and the single double crochet at every end of the row. So it will have a nice border on it. However, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do a small border after we're finished with the length of our shawl. So I'm going to meet up with you once I get about 60 inches of shawl made. And then we will proceed from there. So I'm going to show you my measurement. It's at 30 inches and my shawl is doubled over, so it is at approximately 60 inches. Now that I have the length that I desire for my shawl, which is 60 inches, I am going to put a simple single crochet border all the way around the edge of the shawl. So I am going to start here at the corner where I ended. It does not matter where you left off, it will work out. So just go ahead and we are going to start single crocheting all the way around the edge of our shawl. And I am going to start by I'm going to turn the shawl and go down the side of it instead of the part I just came off of. So I'm going to go ahead and chain 1. And then on the side here, I'm going to do 2 single crochets in each one of these chain 3s or double crochets along the side here. And then at the top of each one of those double crochets or chain 3s, I'm going to put a single crochet in that space as well, right here. Just a single crochet and then 2 in the longer part of that stitch, and then 1 at the top. And I am going to do this all the way down the edge of the shawl. And once I get to that corner, I will meet up with you in a second. So coming up at the end of this side of the shawl, I just wanted to note that you do need to put 2 single crochet in that corner and in every corner of your shawl so that it turns nice. So for this side of the shawl, what we are going to do is put 3 single crochet in the chain 3 space, and then 1 at the top of each of the double crochets. So 3 single crochets in the chain 3 spaces and 1 at the top of each double crochet. We're going to do that all the way to the other corner. So 1, 2, and 3, and then in the top of each of those double crochets, 1, 2, and 3. And we're going to repeat that all the way to the end, and I will meet up with you in just a minute. So reaching this next corner here, just remember to do those 2 single crochets so that the corner turns nice for you as you continue your work. So now we are on the other side of the shawl, and we are going to repeat what we did on the previous side, and that is to put 2 double crochets in our first space, and then 2 single crochets in this first space here, and then we are going to put 1 in the corner or the end of that stitch, and then we're going to continue that all the way down just like we did on our other side. So I am coming up to the end, the corner of my shawl where I started, and I am going to slip stitch into that first chain 1 space, and then I am going to cut off about a 6-inch tail to weave in the end here. And so I just pull my yarn through with my hook one more time and pull tight, and then I'm going to go ahead and weave in the ends. And I just wanted to show you my yarn here that I had left of that big ball. It's a fair amount. Maybe a hat could be made, but a Caron 1 pound will definitely do this project. So we are going to weave in our end, and that is just like we do in any other project. I just thread my needle with the end of the yarn, and then I try to hide my ends in behind on the wrong side of my work. So I have this tapestry needle that has a nice big eye on the end. I believe I got this from Amazon. I can't remember. If I remember, I will put it in the description box, a link to some. Okay, so I just pull through so that has a nice finished edge on the front, and then on the back side I just kind of wiggle my needle in to the back side of the work, making sure that I can feel it with my fingers underneath, that it's not going through to the front side. And then I'll pull up, and then I will take and skip that first spot there so that the yarn doesn't pull back through, and I just go back and forth this way. And I figure it would take a lot of work to get the end to pop out of this, even if you were to wash it several times, by weaving your ends in this way. And the longer length of tail that you use, the longer length that you can have to weave in. And once I feel okay with it, then I just go ahead and I snip off the end. And I'm going to do the same with the other end, but I'm not going to show that, but I want to show you the finished shawl. So the shawl is actually too big to show you in its entirety on my kitchen table because it is 60 inches long and approximately 24 inches wide. So I can't get the full shawl in picture. I will show you at the end a small video like I did in the beginning of it wrapped around my mannequin. But I just wanted to show the stitches as it is finished and all worked up. I really enjoy these stitches and how they are in sets of 3. Sets of 3 make it very easy to keep on task if you are making a prayer shawl for somebody, so that you can stay on task with your prayers because the pattern is pretty repetitive. So I'm not saying that you need to make this into a prayer shawl. I'm just saying that if you do make prayer shawls, this would be a great pattern to do that. So, and also I wanted to show the stitches sideways like this so that you can see why I named it the Shaker Shawl. I named it the Shaker Shawl because the way the stitches shake back and forth on it, I thought that was a great name for this. And here is the shawl on my mannequin outside. It is easier to get a better picture of what it would look like on somebody if you are further away, and I can only do that when I'm outside in the yard. Today it's currently about 90 degrees out and it's absolutely gorgeous. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I enjoyed making this pattern for you, and I hope you enjoy working it up as well. Until next time, guys. Bye.